They asked Trump's attorney general the most basic question in politics. She froze. She dodged. She did everything except answer. And what she said instead just changed everything. Let me show you what happened. Then I'll tell you what they're not telling you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Attorney General, for being here today. I want to talk with you about an issue on which there is broad bipartisan agreement: the importance of ensuring trust between the American public and those government officials who wield powerful law enforcement responsibilities. So, Attorney General, would you agree that it is important for law enforcement leaders to be honest?
Of course, as well as members of Congress.
Thank you. And would you include yourself as a law enforcement leader?
Of course.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. You know, President Trump has also, he has referred to himself as the chief law enforcement officer of this country. So do you believe that President Trump is honest?
He is the commander-in-chief of the United States of America, and not only is he keeping this country safe, he is keeping this world safe.
It's a simple question, which you didn't answer.
He is the commander-in-chief.
Last June, Minnesota lawmaker Melissa Hortman, her husband Mark, and their dog were brutally murdered in their home. And your USA's office in Minnesota investigated this crime and obtained a 6-count indictment of the murder suspect, stating that he had intent to kill, injure, harass, and intimidate Minnesota legislators. And I have the copy right here. I read through it. Yet a few weeks ago, President Trump suggested publicly that Minnesota Governor Tim Walz was behind these murders, posting on his Truth Social account a video raising this conspiracy theory. And it wasn't true. And you know it wasn't true, or else you would not have brought an indictment against the subject. Do you know what else Trump has said? He has said he has cut gas prices by 1,400%. False. That he won the 2020 election.
Actually, gas is down to $1.99 a gallon, thanks to President Trump.
That he didn't know Epstein.
Maybe $5 in California.
It's my time, Mr. Chair. That he sent water to L.A. during the wildfires. False. That Governor Westmore of Maryland called him the greatest president of his lifetime. False. So many tales, too many to keep up. But I want to go back to what he said about Tim Walz. Do you agree that President Trump undermined public trust in law enforcement by suggesting that Governor Walz was involved in the Hortman murders?
I am not familiar with that statement.
Well, that is a disappointing response, and it is also why your office and Donald Trump have zero credibility, because I know, and you know, it was a right-wing extremist who murdered the Hortmans. And you and the president are being dishonest with the American people. Last fall, after the horrific shooting of Charlie Kirk, President Trump was asked if there were extremists on both the left and the right. And his exact words were, "I'll tell you something that's going to get me in trouble, but I couldn't care less. The radicals on the right oftentimes are radical because they don't want to see crime. The radicals on the left are the problem, and they're vicious, and they're horrible, and they're politically savvy." Do you agree with this statement? You're taking too long, Madam Attorney General. But you know the answer, because your own department has addressed the question. In 24, the DOJ's research arm issued a report on domestic terrorism, stating that the number of far-right attacks continues to outpace all other types of terrorism and domestic violence extremists. The DOJ published their report, and after the president made those comments, the DOJ took the report down. And I sent you a letter asking you a simple question. Why did the Justice Department remove the data that shows right-wing extremists have killed more innocent people than left-wing extremists?
Did you refer to immigration enforcement as domestic terrorism?
You should answer my question. Yes. You're on my time, but you won't. And what I am asking you to do is put the report back. Restore the data. Stop scrubbing important data from your website. Stop taking down reports that you know the American people need to know about. There are violent, dangerous people out here with real threats, and the dishonesty from your agency comes from the covering up of these threats that could hurt American people and put our lives at rest. Do better. And with that, I yield back.
So let's talk about what just happened there, because there's more to this story than a politician dodging a question. The case Representative Kamlager-Dove mentioned, the brutal murder of Minnesota House Speaker Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark in June 2025. Here's what actually went down. A man named Vance Bolter dressed up as a police officer, full tactical gear, fake badge, even wore a silicone mask to hide his identity. He showed up at their home in the early morning and killed them both. Their dog didn't survive either. But wait, it gets darker. That same night, he attacked State Senator John Hoffman and his wife. They barely survived. When police finally caught Bolter after the biggest manhunt in Minnesota's history, they found something chilling in his car. Notebooks with a hit list. 45 names, all Democrats, all elected officials, plus 5 guns and enough ammunition to carry it out. His friends? They described him as a deeply religious conservative. And here's the kicker. He left a letter for the FBI claiming that Governor Tim Walz ordered these attacks. Federal prosecutors called that claim delusional. They said it was deliberate misinformation meant to throw investigators off track. Now here's where this gets insane. On January 3rd of this year, the President of the United States shared a video on Truth Social, repeating that exact conspiracy theory. The same lie his own Justice Department rejected as delusional. The Hortmans' kids, Colin and Sophie, publicly begged him to take it down. Sophie said sharing that video forced their family to relive the trauma all over again while trying to grieve. Even a former Republican leader in the Minnesota House called it disgusting behavior that hurts families twice.
Our family must
People from both parties condemned it. He never took it
parents.
down. Now let's talk about that report she refused to discuss. The Department of Justice's own research division, the National Institute of Justice, published a comprehensive study on domestic terrorism. Snopes verified it. The Hill confirmed it. Here's what it found. Since 1990, far-right extremists carried out 227 politically motivated attacks, killing over 520 people. In that same time frame, far-left extremists committed 42 attacks that killed 78 people. Those aren't my numbers. That's the DOJ's own data. And here's what happened to that study. On September 11th, 2025, it was still live on the Justice Department's website. 2 days later, right after conservative activist Charlie Kirk was killed, the report vanished. No explanation, no transparency, just gone. In its place, a vague message saying they're reviewing websites per presidential directive. Translation, the data didn't fit the narrative, so they buried it. Think about that for a second. The president wants Americans to believe all political violence comes from the left. His own department's research proves that's false. So instead of addressing the data, they deleted it. It's like failing a test and deciding to burn down the school. And remember during that hearing when Bondi claimed gas prices are down to $1.99? AA's national average is $2.92. So this isn't just about hiding inconvenient research. This is an administration that will lie about the price you're paying at the pump right now, while you're literally watching the numbers climb. Here's what this means for you. The federal government is actively concealing information about the real threats in your community. For over 30 years, the data has shown one clear pattern. And instead of protecting you based on that evidence, they're pretending it doesn't exist. Imagine your doctor gets your test results back, sees something dangerous, and shreds the report because it's politically inconvenient. That's what's happening here. Except worse because this doctor is also lying about your temperature. This is what it looks like when the Department of Justice stops being an independent law enforcement agency and becomes the president's public relations team. NPR documented what's happened since Bondi took over. Career prosecutors fired. Cases against Trump's allies dropped. Investigations opened against his political enemies. CNN said she seemed to be playing to an audience of one. That audience is sitting in the Oval Office. And the world is watching. They're watching America's top law enforcement officer refuse to say whether the president is honest, refuse to acknowledge her own department's research, refuse to condemn the president for spreading conspiracy theories her own prosecutors rejected. Why? What's all this for? To protect a president who amplifies the delusional claims of a mass murderer, to pretend only one side is violent when the evidence says otherwise, to keep one man happy while destroying the credibility of every law enforcement agency in the country. And here's the double standard that makes it all crystal clear. When Melissa Hortman was murdered, Trump didn't lower the flag. When Charlie Kirk was killed, he ordered flags at half staff within hours. That tells you everything. And just one day after this hearing, The Intercept broke another story. Bondi confirmed the administration is creating a secret watch list of groups they consider threats. It's part of something called NSPM-7, a Trump executive directive. When asked who's on this list, she refused to answer, only confirmed that Antifa is on it. So let's recap what we've got. An attorney general who won't share published data on political violence, who won't reveal who's on a secret government government watch list, and who won't say whether the president is honest. At some point, I'm not familiar with that stops being a dodge and starts being a confession. Representative Kamlager Dove released a statement the next day. She said Bondi came across as unstable and refused to provide real answers while disrespecting constituents by dodging the questions we're elected to ask. Here's where we stand today. The DOJ report on political violence, still deleted. Trump's conspiracy theory post about Governor Walz, still up. Vance Bolter, pleaded not guilty. Next court date is March 6th, 2026. This isn't about one hearing. This isn't about one unanswered question. This is about whether the people running the Justice Department believe their job is to pursue truth or bury it. Because when the Attorney General can't say yes to the question, is the president honest? When she has to pivot to commander-in-chief like she's playing word association, that tells you everything. Not what she believes, what she knows. We're being lectured about safety by people actively playing with fire. That's American law enforcement in 2026. If this breakdown gave you clarity, smash that like button. Drop your thoughts below. I read every comment. Share this with someone who needs the full picture. And hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. This is Sophie Bennett. Thanks for watching.